Ladies and gentlemen, you wake up one day and it hits you, 40 years gone. Time slipped through your fingers while you were surviving, sacrificing, or simply searching for something you never quite found. The weight of regret presses heavy on your chest, whispering all the things you could have been, done, or become. But deep within, your soul doesn't want to die quietly under the rubble of lost time. It wants redemption. It wants healing. It wants to rise, and this is where healing from regret begins. Regret is one of the most powerful and painful human emotions. It can trap you in a cycle of shame, anger, and what-ifs. But regret, when faced with courage and faith, can become a doorway. It's not the end of your story, it's the beginning of a new chapter, one that is written not in despair, but in transformation. Healing from regret begins when you allow yourself to confront it honestly. It's okay to admit that you feel like you've wasted years, that maybe you stayed too long in a place that drained you, or you chased something that didn't fulfill you, that you buried your dreams to keep the peace, or let fear convince you to shrink. But acknowledgement is not surrender. It's the first spark of freedom. Real healing happens when you stop punishing yourself for who you were and start honoring who you are becoming. Your past may be marked with silence, missed chances, or unspoken pain, but you are not your past. Regret loses its grip when you choose to learn instead of linger. Ask yourself, what is this regret teaching me? How can I use this pain to fuel a better future? That's when your soul begins to breathe again. There are people who have wasted decades in bitterness or addiction, in broken systems or broken families, and yet they turned their stories around. A man once burdened by years of failure found his calling at age 50, becoming a mentor to youth struggling with the very demons he overcame. A woman who lost her voice in an abusive marriage found healing through faith, rebuilt her life, and now speaks hope into others' lives. They didn't erase the past, they redeemed it. Healing from regret also means speaking the word. There is divine power in calling upon something greater than yourself. When you speak life into dead places, when you say, I am not done, I still have purpose, God can restore what I've lost. Something begins to shift. Your words carry spiritual weight. They invite healing, clarity, and strength. Your soul may cry for revenge, but not the kind that wounds. It cries for a holy kind of revenge, the kind that builds, restores, and conquers the darkness. The kind that takes 40 years of regret and turns them into a decade of legacy. It's not too late. You are not too broken. You are not too old. You are exactly where your transformation begins, so don't sit in silence anymore. Don't let regret write the end of your story. Let it be the fuel that ignites your comeback. Start small, speak life, forgive yourself, take the next brave step. You will stumble, but you will not stay down. Because healing is not a moment. It is a decision repeated daily with faith. Today, your soul doesn't want vengeance over others. It wants victory within. Let your healing be the revenge. Let your growth be the answer. Let your transformation be the proof that nothing was wasted. Even the pain had a purpose. Even the silence had a lesson. Even the regret is now part of the redemption. You're not finished. You're just getting started. Speak healing, live fully, and let regret turn into resurrection. 40 years. That's a lifetime of choices, detours, heartbreaks, silence, sacrifices, and moments that felt like they slipped through your hands. You look back, and part of you aches, not because you didn't try, but because you did. You gave your time, your energy, your love, and somehow you still feel like you never truly lived for *U*. Now your soul is on fire not for destruction, but for resurrection. That fire is not rage. It's the voice of destiny rising inside you, saying, it's time to reclaim your life. Reclaiming your life doesn't mean pretending the past didn't happen. It means owning every piece of it, the broken parts, the lost years, the mistakes and missteps, not with shame but with courage, because what you lived through didn't break you completely. It brought you to this very moment. And this moment is sacred. It's the moment your soul decides it won't be silent anymore. You don't need more time. You need more truth. The truth that your value was never in what you did or didn't accomplish, but in who you are, and who you still have the power to become. Every breath you take now is a second chance. You're not too late. You're right on time for your own awakening. The world may tell you it's over, that your chance came and went, that your age, your pain, your past disqualify you. But the world lies. Your Creator doesn't count your worth in years wasted, but in strength gained, in how many times you rose again when no one was watching, in how deeply you now long to live with intention. Reclaiming your life begins the moment you stop agreeing with your limits and start walking in your authority. It's time to speak. Speak to the silence, speak to the pain, speak to the years the locusts have eaten. Say enough. I choose to live again. You are not just a body moving through routines. You are a soul with a calling. That calling is not behind you. It is waiting within you. You reclaim your life by answering that call, not with perfection, but with bold, trembling faith. Real life transformation is not a myth. A man who spent 30 years buried in addiction and regret found healing in a single moment of surrender and now leads others into recovery. A woman who stayed silent for 4 decades found her voice in her 50s and is now a published author and speaker. They didn't get their years back, but they took their power back. And when you do that, every year ahead of you becomes a miracle in motion. To reclaim your life, you must release your fear. The fear that you've wasted too much. The fear that people won't understand your shift. The fear that change is too painful. Yes, it hurts, but staying stuck hurts more. Change doesn't ask you to be fearless. It asks you to be faithful, to trust that the same power that gave you breathe is now calling you to rise. Reclaim your life by choosing growth over guilt, presence over punishment, hope over helplessness. The pain you've known has already taught you what matters. Now let it teach you how to live, fully, deeply, freely. Build again, dream again, love again, and this time not from a place of survival, but from a place of divine alignment. The greatest revenge your soul can have against 40 wasted years is not bitterness, it's rebirth. It's becoming so alive, so full of purpose, that the past no longer defines you. You define what happens next. So stand up, speak life, walk in faith, reclaim your life. It's yours, and it always has been. 40 years may feel like a lifetime loss, time spent wandering, surviving, enduring, and sometimes barely holding on. You may look at those years with grief, wondering what could have been, who you could have become. But even in the depth of regret, there is a whisper from within, a divine cry not for vengeance on the world, but for rebirth. That cry is your soul yearning for spiritual transformation. It is not too late. In fact, this longing, this ache, is the first sign that something sacred is awakening inside you. Spiritual transformation doesn't begin in glory. It begins in the ashes, in the moments you feel broken, in the silence of years where your dreams were buried beneath responsibility, trauma, or fear. It begins when you look in the mirror and ask, is there more to my life than this? And something in your heart answers yes. It's tempting to believe that transformation should have happened long ago, that somehow you missed your moment. But what if this asterisk is asterisk your moment? What if everything that came before, the pain, the detours, the delays, was preparation, not punishment? What if your soul has been waiting all this time for asterisk, you asterisk, to wake up and step into your deeper truth? Spiritual transformation is not about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you've always been. Beneath the layers of pain and survival is a soul that is divine in origin, resilient, radiant, and ready to rise, ready to shed the weight of shame and embrace the beauty of becoming. Look around you. There are countless stories of men and women who felt they wasted decades, only to rise with greater clarity and calling than ever before. A man who spent 40 years chasing money finally found peace in serving the homeless. A woman who silenced her voice in a toxic relationship for 35 years is now helping others escape the same. What changed? Not the past, but the power they chose to walk in now. Spiritual transformation comes when you stop asking life to give you back what it took, and instead ask, what can I do with what I still have? When you stop mourning the years that feel wasted and start dedicating the years ahead to something higher. When you no longer chase revenge through anger or regret, but instead through purpose, healing, and divine alignment, speak the word. There is instant power in naming your pain and declaring your healing. Say aloud, I choose to live, I choose to heal, I reclaim the life God intended for me. When you speak like that, heaven listens. The energy of those words begins to reshape your mind, your heart, your spirit. That's where transformation begins, not from the outside, but from within. Your soul wants revenge, yes, but not the kind that destroys. It wants the kind of revenge that rebuilds, that makes your life a testimony of divine timing. That makes every wound a doorway to wisdom, that makes your story one others will look to and say, if they could rise, so can I. Let today be the turning point. Open your heart, release the past, invite the light in. Make room for grace. Your spiritual transformation is not waiting on perfect circumstances, it's waiting on your asterisk, yes asterisk. The moment you surrender your regret, your anger, your fear, and choose growth, you ignite something eternal. You are not too late, you are not too broken, you are not forgotten, the time is now. Let your soul rise, let your spirit speak. Let the wasted years become sacred ground for something miraculous. This is your spiritual transformation. Walk into it with courage, with faith, and with fire. The life you thought you lost is calling you home. Failure has a way of wrapping itself around your soul like a heavy chain, especially when it spans decades. When you feel like you've wasted 40 years, whether in the wrong relationship, a dead-end job, battling addiction, or simply living beneath your potential, it's easy to believe the story is over. But that ache in your soul, that hunger for something more, is not bitterness. It's a spark of faith that refuses to die, even after all the disappointments. That's where your redemption begins, with faith after failure. Faith after failure doesn't look like blind optimism. It's not pretending everything is fine or ignoring the scars. It's the fierce decision to believe there is still something beautiful waiting on the other side of your pain. It's the choice to trust in a greater plan when all your plans have fallen apart. It's the quiet courage to say, God, I don't understand this journey, but I still believe you can use it. There's something sacred about those who have been to the bottom and still dare to hope. Something powerful about those who have lost time, opportunity, even themselves, and yet choose to rise again. These are not weak souls, these are warriors in the spirit. They've been refined by fire, not consumed by it. Consider the man who spent his whole adult life running from responsibility, only to find true purpose at 60 by mentoring young men who reminded him of his younger, lost self. Or the woman who gave 30 years to a loveless marriage and now, finally free, has found a mission in helping other women find their voices. These aren't fairy tales. These are the real stories of faith reborn from failure. Faith after failure is not about forgetting the past. It's about redefining it. The mistakes, the losses, the missed chances, they don't vanish, but they are no longer weights. They become wisdom. Your past becomes your platform. Your failure becomes your fuel. Your broken pieces, held in God's hands, become the very tools of your transformation. You may feel like your soul wants revenge, and in a way it does, but not against people. Not even against circumstances. Your soul wants revenge against wasted potential. It wants to rise to fight back, not with hate but with healing, not with blame but with boldness, not with sorrow but with sacred fire. Faith after failure also means speaking life into places that once felt dead. declaring, I am not finished, proclaiming, this pain will not have the final word. That declaration is more than words, it's a spiritual shift. It invites divine healing into every corner of your regret, and when that healing flows, your vision clears. You begin to see not just what you've lost, but what you can still become. It's not about erasing the 40 years. It's about transforming them. God can restore what time seemed to steal, not by turning back the clock, but by filling your remaining years with more purpose, more depth, more love, and more truth than you ever imagined. So breathe, stand, speak. Your failure is not final. Your life is not wasted. Your soul is not done. This is your moment to believe again, not in yourself alone, but in the divine power that has carried you this far and is ready to take you further. Faith after failure is your bridge from regret to redemption. It's not easy, but it's yours to walk. And as you do, you will feel it. Your soul no longer burning for revenge, but rising in resurrection. Let the past make you wiser, not smaller. Let faith do what fear never could, lead you home to who you were always meant to be. There comes a point when the numbness begins to wear off. After decades of pain, silence, disappointment, and lost years, something inside you stirs again. It's not loud, not angry, but steady. It's not vengeance in the way the world defines it. It's deeper than that. It's your soul waking up. It's the beginning of an emotional resurrection. You look back at 40 years and see moments that felt wasted, relationships that drained you, dreams that never came to life, roads you were too afraid to walk. You buried your fire under responsibility, survival, or shame. And yet, that fire never really died. It flickered, it hid, but now it wants out. Now it wants air. Emotional resurrection isn't about pretending it didn't hurt. It's not ignoring the tears you cried alone, or the nights you stared at the ceiling wondering, is this all there is? No, resurrection begins when you acknowledge that your emotions died in the first place, that somewhere along the way you shut down to survive. You stopped expecting beauty. You stopped hoping for joy. But you didn't stop needing it. You're not broken for feeling that loss. You're brave for facing it, because emotional death is silent and subtle. It comes when we stop believing we can feel deeply again. But your soul, the eternal, divine part of you, refuses to live numb. That's why you're feeling again. That's why you ache, because you are waking up. You see, this is not the end of your story. It's the rebirth of it. The pain you carried wasn't the full truth. It was just a chapter. And your soul doesn't want revenge to destroy. It wants restoration. It wants what was lost to be made whole. It wants to laugh again, cry again, love again, dream again. Not in denial of what happened, but because of it. You earned this rebirth. You've suffered, but you've survived. Let yourself feel what you buried, the regret, the anger, the grief, but also the tenderness, the desire, the hope. You don't have to rush your healing. You only have to allow it, and in that space, grace enters. Grace doesn't shame you for the years you lost. Grace says, even now, I am with you. Divine healing doesn't erase the scars. It makes them holy. You are not too late for emotional resurrection. It doesn't happen all at once. Sometimes it begins with a single tear, a single breath, a single act of forgiveness, for others or for yourself. Sometimes it's speaking the name of a dream you gave up on and saying, maybe, just maybe, there's still time. And sometimes it's the simple decision to say, I want to feel again. You were created for more than survival. You were born to live fully, heart, mind, body, and soul. And when you surrender to that calling, the divine begins to move in ways you cannot explain. The heaviness begins to lift. The light starts to return. The inner silence turns into prayer, poetry, passion. There are people who rediscovered joy in their 50s, purpose in their 60s, and love in their 70s. You are no exception. You are not behind. You are rising on time . So breathe life into your emotions. Invite joy back in, even if it comes slowly. Allow your soul to sing again. Speak the word. Call out to the one who makes all things new. And know this, your emotional resurrection is not just possible, it is sacred. It is your soul's way of saying, I still have something to give, I still have something to feel, I still have something to live for. Let that be your revenge, not destruction, but resurrection. Not bitterness, but beauty, not silence, but soul. Let the world watch you rise, because you were never dead. You were only waiting for this moment. There comes a moment in every soul's journey when it looks back and sees nothing but ashes. 40 years gone, time wasted on wrong choices, silent suffering, broken dreams, and the haunting ache of what could have been. In that silence, a voice rises, not one of anger, but of deep hunger. Your soul wants revenge, but not the kind that destroys. It seeks something deeper, something eternal. It wants the asterisk power of divine healing asterisk, the kind that makes sense of the suffering, revives what was lost, and brings light to even the darkest parts of your past. The power of divine healing doesn't erase your story, it redeems it. It walks into the rooms of your life you've locked shut, rooms filled with old regrets, buried pain, and voices that said you'd never be enough. Divine healing isn't afraid of your mess. It moves into your brokenness and speaks one powerful truth. Asterisk, you are still worthy of restoration asterisk. For 40 years you may have lived with emotional scars, unspoken grief, and inner emptiness that nothing ever seemed to fix. You may have gone from job to job, relationship to relationship, season to season, feeling like you were running from something you couldn't name. But divine healing doesn't require you to figure it all out. It simply asks you to surrender, to open your heart to the possibility that God can make even this asterisk, especially this asterisk, beautiful. Think of the stories you've heard. A man spends his youth in addiction, loses everything, and meets God on a cold prison floor. A woman who gave her whole life away to please others wakes up at 60 and begins painting, finally expressing the emotions she hid for decades. These are not exceptions. They are evidence of divine healing in motion. When God steps into your story, time is not the enemy. He redeems time. He resurrects dreams. He rewrites endings. Your soul cries for revenge because it feels robbed of joy, of peace, of purpose. But divine healing transforms that pain into power. It doesn't just patch the surface. It goes to the root. It heals the childhood wound, the trauma you never spoke of, the fear that kept you small, the lie that said you were unlovable. Divine healing breathes truth into your identity. You are not your failures. You are not your wasted years. You are not the sum of your shame. There is sacred power in simply inviting that healing in. When you speak the word, "Heal me, Lord," something shifts in the atmosphere. That prayer opens the floodgates, not always in thunder and lightning, but in quiet revolutions of the heart. You begin to feel again. You begin to hope again. You begin to rise, not in your own strength, but in divine authority. Healing is a process, yes, but it is also a miracle. It may come through tears, through forgiveness, through rediscovering your voice. It may take courage to revisit the pain, but on the other side is freedom, the kind of freedom no amount of money, success, or revenge can offer. The kind of freedom that lets you breathe deeply and say, asterisk, I am whole again, asterisk. So if you feel like your life has been wasted, know this, it's not over. In fact, it's just beginning. Divine healing doesn't just restore you, it reintroduces you to yourself. To the version of you who can still love, still build, still laugh, still dream. You don't need to stay buried in regret. You need to rise in grace. Let the power of divine healing be your soul's true revenge. Not to punish the past, but to transform it, to take the ashes and build something sacred. This is your moment. Invite the healing in. Speak the word. Let it break the chains, and step into the life that was always meant for you. 40 years can vanish like a breath when you're carrying pain. You wake up one day and realize that time has passed you by, while the wounds you never healed still whisper in your heart. Lost opportunities, broken dreams, silent suffering, each one etched into your memory like scars. And in the quiet of your soul there's a cry not just for justice but for meaning, a yearning not to destroy what hurt you but to turn that pain into purpose. You see, your soul doesn't truly want revenge. It wants redemption. It doesn't want to dwell in bitterness. It wants to bloom from it. That aching in your chest is not rage, it's potential. The kind of potential that only pain can shape, only failure can deepen, only loss can give birth to. Pain is not the end of your story. It is the soil in which your purpose is planted. Think about this. The strongest people you know didn't become who they are by accident. They were shaped in the fire. They turned their suffering into service. The addict who now helps others recover. The woman who lost everything and now inspires thousands. The man who was abandoned only to become a father to the fatherless. What gave them power wasn't perfection, it was pain. What gave them direction wasn't a perfect path, it was a broken road that led to truth. Turning pain into purpose begins with a choice. You must decide that what happened to you will not define you. It will refine you. That every tear you cried, every moment you were overlooked, every regret you carry can become a tool in the hands of something greater. Divine hands, sacred hands, hands that know how to turn ashes into beauty. You may feel like your best years are behind you, but let me speak this over your life. God is not finished with you. If you're still breathing, you're still becoming. If you're still hurting, you're still healing. Your purpose didn't die in those lost years. It was waiting for your heart to awaken, for your soul to rise, for your spirit to say, enough. I will no longer live numb. I will no longer waste what remains. It takes courage to look back at decades of pain and say, I will use this. It takes strength to say, I can help someone else not go through what I did. That is purpose, that is power, and that is how you get revenge, not by sinking into the darkness, but by becoming the light. You may not be able to go back and change the past, but you can use every part of it. Every broken relationship, every false start, every silent cry, it all matters, it all holds weight, and when you give it to something higher than yourself, it becomes holy. This is your invitation to stop running from your pain and start rising with it, to speak your truth, to offer your lessons, to live boldly, not despite what happened, but because of it. Let your story be the map someone else needs. Let your scars become the proof that healing is real. You didn't waste 40 years. You lived, you endured, and now you understand things no textbook could teach. That wisdom is your gift to the world. That empathy is your power. That resilience is your purpose. So let the past fuel your future. Let the pain give birth to a mission. Stand up, speak out, take your soul's cry for revenge and turn it into a roar of purpose. This is not your end. This is your resurrection, and the world is waiting for you to rise. There's a deep ache that settles in the heart when you realize time has passed and you didn't live it fully. Maybe it slipped away in survival mode, doing what you had to do but not what you were born to do. Maybe it was spent chasing people who never saw your worth, staying small to keep others comfortable, or simply not believing in yourself. 40 years gone, and now your soul is restless, not because it wants revenge on the world, but because it wants redemption. It wants to overcome wasted time. Time is a cruel teacher, but it's also an honest one. When you reflect on lost years, the temptation is to drown in regret. You replay what you could have done, should have said, or might have become. But that's not where your power lies. Your power begins the moment you decide that even though you can't reclaim the years, you can redeem the meaning. Wasted time does not equal a wasted life, not when faith steps in. You are not alone. There are countless people who wake up decades later with the same question burning inside. What now? The answer is simple, though not always easy. Now, you live with intention. Now, you turn every day forward into something sacred. Now you trust that even if the road behind you is broken, the road ahead can still lead to beauty. God is not bound by time. He doesn't see your 40 years and say, too late. He sees them and says, let me show you what I can do with what's left. One moment of clarity can shift the weight of a decade. One spark of purpose can ignite the rest of your life. Divine healing doesn't rewind the clock, it redeems your future. Overcoming wasted time starts with forgiveness. Forgiving yourself for not knowing better, for being afraid, for settling, for staying stuck. This is not weakness, it's spiritual maturity. You were doing the best you could with what you knew, and now that you know more, you can do more. Regret is only useful when it pushes us toward redemption. This isn't about rushing to make up for lost time. That mindset only adds pressure. This is about shifting your perspective. You didn't lose everything, you gained wisdom. You earned scars that now give you empathy. You endured trials that now give you testimony. That is not wasted. That is wealth in disguise. There are people who started businesses at 60. People who found love in their 70s. People who discovered their purpose after retirement. You are not too late. You are right on time for your transformation. The second half of your life can be more alive, more powerful, and more aligned than all the years before. But you must choose to believe it. Don't underestimate the power of one decision, to show up differently, to speak your truth, to take a risk, to finally do what sets your soul on fire. Wasted time wants you to believe it defines you. Faith wants you to believe it refines you. Let your soul's cry for revenge be answered not with destruction, but with resurrection. Build something, heal something, love deeply, speak boldly, serve passionately. Let your very existence become proof that it's never too late for a new beginning. Your past may explain you, but it does not define you. The next chapter is yours to write, and with the pen of wisdom, the ink of grace, and the fire of divine purpose, you can craft a life that makes all the lost years worth something. You've overcome more than you know. Now it's time to overcome the lie that says your best is behind you. It's not. It's here, it's now, and it's waiting for you to rise.